Hey guys, how are you? How is doing? Okay, I'm Ruslan, and today we're going to consider the first topic of our course, the cross-cultural communication. The course sometimes is called slightly different. Sometimes it's called intercultural communication, but it's okay. You may call it cross-cultural communication or intercultural communication. It is the same. So let's move on to our discussion. What is cross-cultural communication? Before considering this question, let's divide these words. The cultural communication, cross-cultural communication. Let's consider each word apart. Apparently, what is culture? Well, according to Schuster, culture is beliefs, values, patterns of thinking, behavior, and everyday customs that have been passed on from generation to generation. Yeah, as you see, it is set of values, set of beliefs. It's a combination, or it's a complex of uh, thinking patterns, beliefs, behavior, and it is passed on from generation to generation. Yeah, we sometimes we inherit some of our behaviors from our parents, and our parents maybe had inherited some beliefs or value sets from their parents, which who are our grandparents. As you see, we can inherit some kind of uh, notions, understandings, and values. This is the definition of Schuster for culture. We have another definition, like, or a group of or community with which we share common experiences that shape the way we understand the world. You see, we live in Kazakhstan, yeah. We live in Shymkent, particularly. Maybe we live in Astana, maybe we live in Almaty. It doesn't matter. Anyway, if we live in particular geographical, uh, within a particular geographical borders, boundaries, yeah, and within a particular ethnic group or nation or a community, we of course have some values that we share, some notions and understandings that we share, because we have a common history to share, we have common values to share, and we have common experiences to share. That kind of experience forms our understanding, common understanding, and this is called the culture. Okay, let's move on. uh, it includes groups that we are born into, such as gender, race, or national origin. It also includes groups we join or become part of. For example, we can acquire a new culture by moving to a new region, by change in our economic status, or by becoming disabled. Okay, race, for example, uh, we can distinguish by a view of world Asian from European people. Yeah, of course, every individual has his or her own understanding, notion, values, beliefs, but anyway, uh, there are some particular common frameworks or common borders of understanding, of beliefs, of values, yeah, for Asian and of course for European, and we can distinguish between them, or we can just we can distinguish, or we can notice the difference between these two races. You see, this called culture. Okay, what is communication? Communication is process by which information is exchanged and understood by two or more people, usually with the intent to motivate or influence behavior. Yeah, it means to share information, not to speak or to write. As you see from this presentation, it doesn't mean to speak. Communication doesn't mean it doesn't imply to speak or to write. To speak or to write is a more narrow part of communication. Communication is a more broader. Yeah, we communicate when we exchange something. When we exchange information, when we exchange some data from our mind with data from the other people's minds. You see, we call it communication. Okay, but it doesn't. Well, at first glance, it may look very simple. Yeah, communication. It's kind of exchange information, but it is a very complex process. Actually, it's a really complex process. Yeah, there is a sender of information, as you see, and the sender encodes the information with particular words. Yeah, words may contain some cultural information in it. Yeah, and the channels like our voices, our gestures, our body language, all this stuff add extra information to our speech, you see. And decode, of course, it's our intonation, it's our voices, eye contacts, micro expressions, facial micro expressions, and the information passes to the receiver. Okay, and receiver gives feedback. You may think that as a feedback in this case is a response, yeah, or reaction of the receiver. Okay, but is this enough? Is this all? No, not of course. Receiver gives feedback or reacts to the information in the same way. Yeah. Also, he decodes, transmits, encodes the information to the sender. In this case, encode, transmit, decode, it's a noise. Actually, it is not words. It's our sounds, it's our voice, it's our gestures, it's our facial micro expressions, it's our body language. All this stuff include encode, transmit, and decode. Okay, culture and communications. Messages are constructed from culture or beliefs, values, patterns of thinking, behavior, and everyday customs that have been passed on from generation to generation. This is the definition from Schuster. Yeah, both the sender and the receiver use their cultural perceptions of encode and decode messages. When we speak to let me give you an example. If you speak with your sibling or with your group mates, with your friends, usually you use more informal language, yeah, like jargons or abbreviations. It's not like scientific or literature abbreviations. It is more informal and casual abbreviations while you chat with messengers, while you chat online, or when you when you talk with your friends or with your siblings. You usually use slightly different, actually really different language from that you use when you communicate with official individuals, or with your parents, maybe with your professor or with your tutor at the university. Yeah, you use different languages because in these cases we can distinguish, or we can clarify that you within your within the group of your friends or of your siblings, yeah, you have a culture. It means that you share something with your friends or with your siblings that you don't share with others, with other groups or with other adults. Yeah, and when you talk with your professor or with your like official individual, yeah, official figures, you don't speak in such a manner because you don't have shared values with these figures, and this is okay. A little more about perception. What is perception? Perception, it's how we perceive our environment, the world, yeah, how we understand it, how we accept it. We call it perception. It's if we express it in more formal definition, yeah, process, use it to sort out the environment. The process, of course, to understand our world that surround us. Okay, perceptual selectivity. What is perceptual selectivity? It is something that catches our attention, or we usually tend to see or want to see, or we select to see. For example, if you see, or if you face for the first time with a new groupmate in your group, what do you usually see in this boy or girl? I think you may see his blues or her blues, yeah, his suits, or maybe his or her style. You see, you select what to see in her or in him or in her. This is we call perceptual selectivity. And it is usually based on your perception of the youth, of the teenagers. Usually teenagers tend to be up to date, fashionable, and this leads them to see in other teenagers, yeah, these elements of fashion, and this is a shared culture of teenagers and young. Okay,